Welcome to Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. Marcellus Wiley here. Won't lie, I don't think I'm winning right now.
You're not winning Swag Wars, sir, but I left you an opening.
You left me an opening. Emmanuel Acho, who needs to turn around to really win this.
You got to see the best. That's the details, sir. The devil, sir, is in the details.
Carnations all around.
Carnations.
I like that. All right, let's get it started with two of the best quarterbacks ever, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. They'll square off for only the third time in their career Sunday on Fox. Rodgers is off to a hot start this season, 13 touchdown passes, no interceptions for the undefeated Packers. On the other hand, Brady is coming off a loss to the Bears where he appeared to lose track of what down it was on the final drive. So, Acho, which quarterback has more to play for this weekend, Aaron Rodgers or the GOAT, Tom Brady?
It's a tough one, but for me, it is Aaron Rodgers. He has more to play for because he has more expectations. You'll hear this a lot from me today. You've heard it from me before. Expectations minus reality equals disappointment. You hear that from me a lot.
Right
now, Aaron Rodgers has to play for, number one, individual expectations. Trying to win an MVP. He's trying to stay pace for pace with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has 19 passing touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers only has 13. Number two, Aaron Rodgers collectively as a team, Packers have more to play for. The Buccaneers realize this. They're not getting the one bye that is up for grabs in the playoffs right now. They're not getting that right now. They just know that based on the difficulty remaining in their division with the Saints getting better and the fact that they already have a couple losses and the Packers have none.
Oh, okay.
Realistically speaking, they're not getting that joint.
Oh, realistically, okay.
The Packers still are playing for the one bye up for grabs. I think it's going to be a two-headed race between Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. But really, I'm looking at it like this.
Okay.
You and I had a debate just 2 days ago about Aaron Rodgers. He's more talented than Tom Brady.
He's better.
But he's not more dominant. Aaron Rodgers has never been dominant in the NFL because he hasn't had the opportunities to do so as far as captivating Super Bowl after Super Bowl, even getting there. He hasn't even got there but one time. Aaron Rodgers hasn't proved his dominance. He's proven his ability, but he hasn't proven his dominance as it pertains to being in conversations with the likes of Tom Brady. He can prove this coming Sunday that he is as dominant when facing someone who has been for so long dominant.
Disagree. And I don't understand why I'm disagreeing with something we should agree on. It's Tom Brady in this situation. Tom Brady is the guy that everyone walks up to and say, you know what? You've been the man for so long. It's time for me to show you some respect. Let my ego go. Let this veil down and give you your flowers. Here's your flowers, brother. And then as soon as they hand him his flowers, they step on them. They say, nobody giving you your flowers because what have you done for me lately? It's amazing how we take that phrasing right there and apply it and misuse it to Tom Brady, the GOAT. We forget about all the equity that he had in New England. We forget about all the greatness to a point where Emmanuel Acho weekly comes up here hypercritical of the GOAT. You don't give him love, and I'm really astounded that you're disagreeing with me because he suffers from the same thing you suffer from.
What's that?
People don't give you your flowers. I do. People don't give you your respect. I do. But you and Tom Brady both suffer from ageism in a different respect. Tom Brady too damn old to be playing this well, so people always want to look at him side-eye and not give him his flowers. You're so damn young and you're here so fast, people don't want to give you your respect. Oh, I read your Twitter timeline too. They be on your head sometimes. So here's the point. If I'm Tom Brady, I'm like, can I remind y'all, I was player of the week in week 4. Oh, you forgot, because you want to just talk about the Bears loss. Week 4, oh, I was the guy. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, I forgot 4th down. Player of the week, week 4. 9 touchdowns and 1 interception in the last 3 weeks. But somehow, some way, there's a perception out there that Tom Brady is not playing of standard, that whether that's a GOAT standard or a great quarterback standard, it just seems like he's not getting his fair due.
That's fair, Marcellus.
I knew it.
You won the first round off comedy alone. Off comedy alone, no substance, straight filler. You won the first round off comedy. But let me say this. When you think about great quarterbacks and you think about great quarterback duels, Aaron Rodgers has never had that. You had Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Right now you have Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Before you had Brett Favre and you had Troy Aikman. But Aaron Rodgers has never been able to be a part of a duel. Number one, the NFC North has sucked. Matthew Stafford hasn't ever really won. He's been great individually, hasn't won as a collective team.
Yep.
The Bears, Jay Cutler, Matt Trubisky. The Vikings, Teddy Bridgewater, Kirk Cousins, Case Keenum. What's going on there? Aaron Rodgers has never been able to prove head-to-head in quarterback duels he can dominate. He has the chance to do that on Sunday. That's why, for me, he can really esteem and establish himself as, wait a second, when I went up against greatness, I too was great. 1-1 versus Tom Brady in his career. He has the opportunity to take that lead. It might not matter now, but when we look back at Aaron Rodgers' career, we'll be able to be like, oh, wait, when he went head-to-head against Tom Brady, he did better. Here's the other thing. 63 quarterbacks have been to one Super Bowl. That's a litany of them, like Aaron Rodgers. He needs to separate himself in that notch. You can make that line of delineation again starting Sunday. You can't win the Super Bowl on Sunday. That's not what I'm saying. But you can say this, we're here to stay. And Marcellus, every week you and I come on this show, and we don't realize who are great NFL teams yet. Every week we do this. It changes. Because we're like, man, the Steelers have only beat X, Y, and Z. They all sorry. Yeah. The Ravens have only beat X, Y, and Z. We don't know who's good in the NFL yet. But what we know is this. The Buccaneers are at least above average. They're top 10.
Definitely.
If the Packers smack the Bucs around, if Rodgers smacks Tom Brady and company around, they can show that they are the cream of the crop. They're not to be played with. They're not to be fooled with. You can look at the Packers and say, man, who have they really beat? Vikings are sorry. Lions are always sorry. Falcons are winless. Yeah, they beat the Saints without Michael Thomas. Like, who have they really beat? But if they beat when and if they beat the Buccaneers.
No, don't clean it up.
When and if they beat the Buccaneers.
All right.
Then they can say, we legit.
No, man. Look, you said don't play and don't fool around with certain things, and you just played around and fooled with Tom Brady's greatness, including his contributions to this winning culture right now in Tampa Bay. You know what Tom Brady is suffering from outside of ageism?
What's that?
You ever seen somebody transfer schools? I did this one time. You transfer schools when I was a youngster, and you transfer to the new school, and you walk in there, and sometimes your reputation precedes you. But everyone is still looking at you like, okay, is he smart? I heard he was. Well, we'll see what he gets on his first test, right? But before that process even starts, you know what's funny? Not all of your grades and all of your classes transfer over to the new school. So you lose the equity that you know you possess, but they're like, did you take Chem 1 or Chem 2? Because if you took Chem 1, we're not taking that here. You're like, what? What happened? Tom Brady lost equity just in transition to a new place. It's amazing. He put on a different uniform. Everybody's like, he ain't no one. He's sorry. He's not the GOAT. It's still Tom Brady. His numbers support it, but his perception doesn't. And I'm really amazed that you, an astute football analyst who looks at the game beyond what's on the back of your jersey,
absolutely,
still doesn't see that Tom Brady is one of the engines for this team's success.
I'm intrigued by a couple things. Number one, Marcellus, if you transfer schools, people are worried more about your academic prowess and like, oh, is this dude a beast on the football field?
Oh, well,
I heard he was.
I went to Columbia.
I'm confused.
I'm a student athlete. I don't know about you.
I was an athlete student. Right? My coaches would say this. What would they say? They would say school first, sports second. Right? Like that's what I would get.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying.
No, I think that Tom Brady, Marcellus, it's not that he suffers from ageism. He suffers from athletic deterioration.
Of what? He was never an athlete.
But his arm dictated his athleticism. His arm is deteriorating. He's statistically deteriorating. This season, yes, some stats are inflated because of Bruce Arians. Good. Kudos. I'll give him his flowers there.
I was about to say.
The real issue at hand is very simple. Tom Brady doesn't have a lot to play for because the expectations aren't there. You've been giving Tom Brady a pass since day one. Since day one, you said it's his first year coaching. They need to mesh. Give them time. Give them time. Packers were 13-3 last year in the NFC Championship game. They don't have more time. People aren't looking at the Packers with excuses. It's not Matt LaFleur's first year with Aaron Rodgers. It's surely not Aaron Rodgers' first year in Green Bay. If the Packers lose, what's your excuse? But you will come up here on Monday if the Bucs lose, and you'll be like, man, I mean, you know, the Bucs are still getting better. Chris Godwin, he's been out the last couple weeks. Mike Evans. You will come up here and make excuses like you always have for Tom Brady.
I can't do that. Who was the most hyped team this offseason? Green Bay
Bucs and
Packers.
Cowboys. Bucs and Cowboys.
Green Bay Packers? No.
Bucs and
Anybody?
Cowboys.
Anybody say Green Bay Packers? Nobody, including you, Acho. It was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then you bring that hype, and that hype came in championship form, not like in Dallas Cowboys form, like, oh, they're going to be good this year. We'll see where they go. No, this was the cherry on top. Tom Brady, winning culture, all of the pieces coming with him, veterans saying, I'm just going to play there, trades occurring, guys coming off the streets just to say, I want to play with you, Tom Brady. Those were the expectations. So then Tom Brady shows up and actually gets things rolling. He's lost 2 games. They go out there, which they're going to do, and beat the Green Bay Packers. They have lost 1 more game than the Green Bay Packers.
Was that a guarantee, sir?
That's a guarantee. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to beat the Green Bay Packers. And then I don't know what you're going to say. I don't know what can you say for a team right now that you're saying everything's going perfect. The quarterback's 13 touchdowns, no interceptions, go Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, undefeated team. They lose 1 game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs sit there and say, we've lost 1 more game than them, and everyone was loving them. We lost our first game with no continuity from our last year to this year. Different quarterback in a different situation. So guess what?
What?
You're 1 game behind the team that everyone thinks is the best team, and you only lost 1 more game to the team that has won your division 3 straight years.
Sir,
what are you talking about?
You truly believe the Packers, the Bucs will beat the Packers?
Yeah.
We have to put a friendly wager on this, sir.
What you want to do?
You have to read every tease on Monday. You got to go to commercial every time when they lose.
All right. Well, shoes. Coming up at the top of the hour. I'm mad at myself. It's time for Tom Brady. All right, let's get off there. Andy Dalton show. It's time in Dallas. We'll tell you if he'll make the Cowboys forget about Dak Prescott on Monday night. But first, Ty Lue turned down a reunion. Coaching LeBron James last offseason is now in charge of my Clippers. We'll tell you which job has higher stakes next. Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. Boy, you got me phased up here.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. Let's head to the NBA, where Ty Lue reportedly agreed to a 5-year deal to become the Clippers' head coach. Lue was an assistant under Doc Rivers for the team that blew a 3-1 series lead to the Nuggets. Lue coached LeBron James to 3 straight finals appearances in Cleveland, winning it all in 2016. But he turned down a reunion last offseason. Check out this theory on his decision from The Ringer. Perhaps Lue saw the long play to the Clippers' head coaching position by starting there as an assistant. Perhaps he thought he'd bide his time until a better, more lucrative job opened up elsewhere. Whatever the case, he essentially turned down a chance to coach LeBron and win another ring to now take a job with somehow even bigger stakes. I'm not buying it. Marcellus, though,
a lot of that.
Please explain to me which job has higher stakes from a coaching theory?
Okay.
The Clippers or coaching LeBron?
Oh, it's coaching the Clippers. Absolutely. Not even a conversation. But we're going to have one because you like to do this. Which one has higher stakes? It's the one that has greater risk. And if you think about greater risk, let's go to Vegas, you gambler. I heard about you.
I be gambling.
I'm at the club.
I be gambling.
You over there on the tables.
All day.
All right. Well, I'm on my 3rd bottle, and you over there running up to the room trying to get more money back from all the money you're losing. Here's the thing. When you talk about greater risk, you have to look at what you're betting on. You get the greatest odds when you take the greatest risk. And that's what Ty Lue has done with the coaching of the Clippers. Here's how I could phrase it. Ty Lue is going to a situation where no one has ever won. No one ever, no matter who you're talking about, even championship coaches like Doc Rivers have not won. But now you have to win. Versus coaching the Lakers right now, well, you're supposed to win. We're the Lakers, and we have LeBron, and we just won. But if you don't, you'll be all right. Why? Because coaches have not always won with LeBron and been all right. Who did LeBron just play against in the finals? Eric Spoelstra. Did they win every year LeBron was there? Oh, no, they did. Did they win even 75% of the time? No, they only won half of the times. But Eric Spoelstra was still there. How about Ty Lue? Did he die when LeBron didn't win? No. He won once with him in a half-shortened season, him and David Blatt sharing that. Then after that, Ty Lue lost twice, and then LeBron left, and Ty Lue was still there for 5 days. But the point of it is, You don't always have to win when you're with LeBron. It seems that way. I know it bucks conventional wisdom, and I know you're over there Googling right now because you can't believe I'm just dropping these jewels. But the reality is you're going to a situation where it's barren land. You know, on the way to Vegas, all that we see, nothing out there that is growing, no vegetation. And they're expecting you to make a crop overnight. That, to me, sounds like more pressure, more risk, and that's what Ty Lue stepped in.
Sir, it's obviously LeBron. Coaching LeBron is significantly more pressure, and here's why. What we know about LeBron James is the last decade, wherever LeBron goes, he will go to the finals. Regardless of who he is with, wherever he goes, he will go to the finals.
True.
If you coach LeBron James and you do not go to the finals, therefore we know it's not LeBron's fault. Because where LeBron goes to the finals. So if you show up, Marcellus, and you start coaching the Lakers next year, Lakers don't go to the finals, you were the variable. Because LeBron was fixed. You were the variable. So if the Lakers don't go to the finals, it is on you as the new coach as why they didn't go. It's not on LeBron. It's on you, the head coach. You say that pressure comes down to risk. The riskier situation is coaching LeBron James, because we know that if you coach LeBron, you better go to the finals. Now, I'm just hit you with a quick uppercut. Let me come back with this left hook.
Oh, I could duck.
Think about this. When you are associated with LeBron James, it sets up the rest of your career. Mike Brown coached LeBron early on in his life. Mike Brown won a Coach of the Year. Mike Brown without LeBron James, Who that? LeBron James with Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra was looking like one of the greatest coaches of this generation because he was with LeBron James. LeBron James with Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel in Coach of the Year conversations wins the title his first year as coach. But don't worry about what I'm saying. Let's look at the LeBron James effect. Full screen, please. Look at these guys with LeBron James. I gave it some of it as coaches. Just digest it. LeBron with Mike Brown, significantly higher winning percentage. Spoelstra, one of the greatest coaches right now. But without LeBron, he only wins 50% of the time. With LeBron, 70%. Frank Vogel, look at what he does. I say that to say, no need for the full screen. I say that to say, Marcellus, I end my first lap. When you're with LeBron James, you have to win. You're expected to win. You will win. So if you now coach him and don't win, it's all on you. We don't have to figure out what the problem was. It wasn't chemistry. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. It wasn't luck. It wasn't fate. It wasn't fortune. It was you, the coach.
Yeah, look, I'm not mad at that. That's not cooking the books right there. It is omitting that most of the great players stayed in their same position, same place of location, and had the same coach. Let's go Pat Riley with Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, basically. Phil Jackson, you talk about Jordan, you talk about Kobe, everybody, Shaq. And let's go right now. Steve Kerr, when you're with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. What are they without those guys? We don't even have evidence.
What are those coaches without?
Yeah, what are those coaches without those guys? So that's the full screen we'll never see, but the one we have to consider. I give you this proposition. I ask you a question. If Ty Lue doesn't win the championship next year, what Steve Ballmer expectations? You know who Steve Ballmer is, right? The richest owner in sports. He has reset the expectation with the Clippers. If he doesn't win, what do you think happens to Ty Lue? He becomes Chauncey Billups. Okay, but if Frank Vogel doesn't win next year, after already having the equity of winning the championship, what happens to Frank Vogel? You think he's gone? No, I don't think he's gone. That right there, that hair splitting is what I'm trying to highlight. I'm not saying that both of these are not hypercritical situations where you're going to be under the microscope, but it seems like now, because the Clippers used to have stability, but they also have futility. And now Steve Ballmer walked in there and is like, look, I have purchased everything. I can't buy a championship, but whoever I employ has to deliver on this purchase. And that's why I think it's different.
Let's talk about this then for a second.
Okay.
The Clippers were embarrassed, if we can be real, blowing a 3-1 series lead to
again.
They were embarrassed again. We talked about that for a week. At the most, we talked about it for a week. Marcellus, we still, to this day, and will forever, talk about LeBron James losing to the Mavericks. Still, and will forever. The Clippers blew a 3-1 lead. We're just like, man, Clippers blew a 3-1 lead. Some of us were surprised. Some of us weren't. Some of us were like, that's what the Clippers do. Others were like, wow, I can't believe that happened. We still and forever will talk about LeBron James blowing his blowing it to the Mavericks when they did have a lead, although it was just 2-1, and although they were the heavy favorites. Clippers, we don't really care. Coaching LeBron James, it's just different because the eyes are on you always and forever, and it will be etched in history. Ain't nobody talking about the Clippers losing 3-1 to the Nuggets, not at all. But we forever talk about LeBron James coming back down 3-1 to the Warriors. Now, they're extenuating circumstances. Greatest Warriors team of all time. It happened in the finals as opposed to the semis. But we will talk about that forever. Coaching LeBron is just, it's probably the most pressure in sports because you're coaching the most, in American sports, because you're coaching the most highly criticized player in American sports.
Well, look, being real, every coach in America would sign up to coach LeBron.
Of course.
So not every coach in America is saying I'm signing up for suicide, but they're also looking at a situation like, you give me the best chance. That's why I think we're on different sides of the same coin. Look, when you're lifting weights, they tell you to wait to a certain age to lift weights, right? Because you have to fully develop. The Clippers' winning culture, championship culture, I can't even say it, winning culture has not fully developed. So what you're not supposed to do is put weight on that situation because guess what? It's not ready for it. But that's what Ty Lue is in. He's not ready to really live in this reality of you do it, boom or bust, brother. Where Frank Vogel's not in that. That's a fully mature situation. The Lakers have 16 and a half this year, don't count asterisk, 17 championships. LeBron James walked into the Lakers facility already a 3-time champion. Kyle Kuzma can go to a Laker game and they'll be like, what's Kuzma doing at a Clipper game? What is Kuzma doing at a Clipper game? Showing his ring that no one has ever attained that has wore a Clippers uniform. Not a single Clipper has a ring, but Kyle Kuzma does. We are talking about completely two different circumstances.
Let me lastly put this here because this is now diving into the weeds. I view higher stakes as what will it do for the trajectory of your life? I also view that like if you have this opportunity, it will either ruin the trajectory of your life or it will make the trajectory of your life. Coaching LeBron James has the highest stakes because of this last layer you and I haven't addressed, which is very simple. If you do that and succeed, you Gucci forever. Meaning, Ty Lue, without LeBron James, we have no idea who he is. But you came up, praised the hire yesterday. Analysts around the world are praising the hire. Everyone is ushering Ty Lue to be the first head coach whenever there's a vacancy. Why? Because of what he did with LeBron James. Eric Spoelstra, without LeBron James, he had won one playoff series prior to this year in 5 years. Hadn't made the playoffs for 2 consecutive years before LeBron James joined the Heat. But with LeBron James, Eric Spoelstra, he's genuinely considered one of the best coaches in the last 2 decades. He's up there with Pop and up there with Phil Jackson because he's won multiple titles along with Steve Kerr. Now look at Frank Vogel. He's in there with Coach of the Year conversations because so I say it's higher stakes because the last layer is very simple. The trajectory of your life, make the parallel between being a skill player for the Cowboys. If you're a skill player for the Cowboys and you do that well, you're taken care of not only in football, but after you leave. Just look at analysts around the game. So that's why the stakes to me are higher with LeBron James teams because the reward is extremely high, but the risk is high as well.
Yeah, but with that possible bump, I was a Dallas Cowboy. You get insane amount of criticism and compliments, but also the consequences come fast. And look, one and done, I was in Dallas. I would have pulled that same stunt other places. They would have hid me under the radar and said, we're going to keep Wiley around. Not in Dallas. You can't hide in futility. Look, he was hired in part because of what the relationship was with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving and how he was able to mend that relationship. Whatever that was, he had the special sauce to keep those guys in line for as long as he did. Now, he was a guy that was with Doc Rivers. A lot of people pushing back on the hire. Why are you with Doc Rivers and you're going to hire his assistant? Sometimes being close to something but not in it is actually more valuable. How many times have you been the homeboy to your homeboy who's with somebody and you're like, look, come here. This is how you should handle this, man. But instead, he's too far in the forest to see the trees. He doesn't get it. I think that's why this is a special hire. Someone who saw the mistakes of Doc Rivers and could correct them by being so close to it. Coming up, Carson Wentz has a tough task Sunday against Lamar Jackson's Ravens. We'll tell you which quarterback needs a win more. Next, speak for yourself. Presented by Undead. Tonight is the season premiere of Friday Night SmackDown. The big dog Roman Reigns defends his WWE Universal Championship for the first time ever on SmackDown against the monster among men, Braun Strowman. There will also be special guests like Big Papi in the house. I see you, David Ortiz, 49ers tight end George Kittle, and WWE Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin. Tune in tonight, 7:30 Eastern and Pacific on Fox. Let's head back to the NFL, where the Ravens are favored by 8 points on the road against the Eagles Sunday. According to Fox Bet, Lamar Jackson's squad is looking up at the Steelers in the AFC North, while Carson Wentz's Eagles have just one win. Acho, your Eagles, which quarterback needs to win more Sunday? Lamar? Wentz.
Lamar Jackson.
We laughing at that, huh?
It's Lamar, bro. Think about this, man. Realistically, us Eagles fans, we are hopeful. We are not faithful.
Let's go.
We are hopeful. We are not faithful. I am hopeful that the Eagles will turn this season around because I've seen them do it before. Won't shock me. Won't shock me. But I'm not faithful that they will. I don't have faith necessarily that they do. But I hope. The substance of things hope for. I'm hoping for it. Lamar Jackson, on the other hand, he won MVP last year, right? Oh, okay. What did I tell you before? Expectations minus reality equals disappointment. What's the expectations for the Eagles? So if I don't expect the Eagles to win and they lose, I'm not disappointed.
Oh, wow.
But
that was fast.
Lamar Jackson reigning MVP, something we've never seen before. A better Michael Vick than Michael Vick. If he comes out here and loses to the 1-3-1, the measly Eagles, oh, it's terrible. But also think about this. Look Jackson is already declining statistically this year.
Oh, you boy, he gonna cook these. He cooking.
Hey, look, bro. He runs the ball less, and he's less efficient when he runs. He's less efficient through the air. He's less efficient all around. Now, the Ravens are still 4-1. I'm happy for them. Congratulations. They beat the Bengals. I think they beat the likes of the Texans. They've lost to the Chiefs, the really fairly competent team that they've played. But Lamar Jackson has the highest expectations, so he has the most to lose. If Carson Wentz loses, I'm not tripping. If Lamar Jackson loses, hell is falling. The sky is falling.
Okay.
So that's how I look at it.
Well, let's look at it the way I look at it, because I think that's the smart way to look at this. It's Carson Wentz. You knew I was going to go there. Let's use that distance, as you say, falling off. Let's apply that to both of these guys. In terms of falling off, what's the distance of falling off from, as you say, Lamar Jackson, MVP last year, and what did that get him? Leading the league in yards per rush and passing touchdowns and MVP. What did that get him in totality? One and done in the playoffs, right?
Absolutely.
All right, now let's juxtapose that to Carson Wentz. In terms of distance of falling off from a second overall pick and a former MVP candidate, didn't even win it, but candidate, to who he is now. Who is he right now, Marcellus? The guy who has the worst quarterback rating in the NFL.
I don't know this Carson Wentz. I cannot recognize this Carson Wentz.
Oh, the guy who has the most interceptions in the NFL. Oh, the guy who's only won one game. One. And he has the third worst completion percentage. You want to talk about falling off? I think you have made a grave mistake in looking at what Lamar Jackson is doing. He has reset his goals. He has put his eyes on a different prize. Who needs the regular season? Kind of the NBA mindset, kind of how we talk about when we talk about LeBron James and like, let me coast through this regular season, stay healthy, work on my craft, my left-hand layups, and then when I get to the postseason, there is Judgment Day. I have to advance in the playoffs. I need to win a Super Bowl. So that distance between what Lamar Jackson is right now and falling off and Carson Wentz, how could you not say Carson Wentz?
I hate saying that NFL games are meaningless. As a man who played in NFL games, you played in several more. It's hard to say an NFL game is meaningless. But for the Eagles, this game is meaningless. Marcellus, the Eagles can make the playoffs statistically at 4-11-1. They can make the play. They got to beat the Cowboys twice, and they got to beat the football team, and they will make the playoffs at 4-11-1. They don't need to beat the Ravens. I hope. You hear that word a lot, bro. You'll hear that word a lot. I hope that the Eagles do. But 4-11-1. You beat the Cowboys twice, you beat the football team, and things go your way a little bit. You're going to make the playoffs. I don't need you to beat the Ravens. I would like for it to happen, but I don't need it to happen. You, sir, Marcellus.
I'm listening.
If the Eagles lose on Sunday, will you be shocked?
I will be shocked.
No, if they lose. If they lose.
I heard you. So I'm like, damn, are they going to ever win again? Like, my son, my little son, he's an Eagles fan. I don't know how he got that. His favorite color is green. He's like, Daddy, when they going to win? I'm like, I can't help you. Carson Wentz is falling off. What you going to say to my son?
They won 14 days ago. First off, if the Eagles lose, I'm not going to be shocked. I'm not going to lose sleep. It's like you expect it to happen. But if the Ravens lose, we'll lead the show. Lamar Jackson loses. Ravens lose to the Eagles. It would be world riveting.
Yes.
It would be sports world. It would be sports world groundbreaking. Marcellus, say what you will. I just personally do not have the expectations that the Eagles win.
Okay, when I get tired of beating you down and punching on you and stepping on you with these 14-size Nikes, I know who comes in off the top rope, WWE style. It's time to bring in Fox NFL analyst Bucky Brooks with the elbow.
Here we go.
Bucky,
Tag me. Tag me. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I got you, baby.
I cannot believe, Acho, like, here we go. 3 weeks ago, we're debating on what kind of suit Carson Wentz is. And right now, we just completely taking him off the rack. He's on the clearance rack. We don't even care what he is because we're okay going 4-11-1. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. The number 2 overall pick has the lowest passer rating in the league, but we're not even going to worry about it. But yet, when I've been warned, because I guess in segment E, we're going to talk about Dak Prescott to get ready. But here we are, not even going to talk about someone who is completely fallen down and can't get up. But I'm going to say this. The pressure's on Lamar Jackson because, as you so eloquently talked about, expectation and reality and disappointment and all of those nice words that you utilize. Yes, the expectation is that the former MVP is going to play at a high level.
You would hope.
And the last couple games, he hasn't played at the level that we are accustomed to seeing. And so the pressure is on him and the Ravens to make sure that they get the quarterback back on track, because when they look in the rearview mirror, the Pittsburgh Steelers and, the Cleveland Browns, they're coming. And that matchup between the Browns and the Steelers means that it could be a three-headed monster, a three-headed race that we're looking at in the AFC North. And so the Baltimore Ravens need to take care of business. They need to handle the Eagles so they can stay in that hunt. The Philadelphia Eagles, though, they need to fix their quarterback. Then they can figure out what's going on. But I understand Emmanuel Acho evidently has low expectations. And so it doesn't matter that his quarterback is delivering mediocre results.
No, Bucky, it's not necessarily that the expectations are low. What it is, Bucky, is the expectations are realistic. I understand this. If a rising tide floats all boats, then a decreasing tide, it decreases all boats. The tide in the NFC East, it is decreasing. Carson Wentz and the Eagles, they have lowered with the tide. It's like when you go somewhere that's below sea level, you too go below sea level. It's not your fault. It's not. The ground sunk, so you sunk with the ground. Here's the thing.
That was good.
The tide in the AFC North, it is floated. The Steelers, they've gotten better. The Browns, they've gotten better. The Bengals somehow miraculously, they've gotten better. They already have a win on the season. They only had 2 last year, if I'm not mistaken. So the Ravens, they have the higher expectations because everyone around them has gotten better. Furthermore, Bucky, a thing we cannot deny, there's only one bye in the AFC, like there's one bye in the NFC. Right now, the Titans are slated to get it. The Ravens cannot afford to lose another game and fall even further behind the Chiefs and neck and neck with the Bills and behind the Titans. Whereas the Eagles, let's be real, y'all not getting a bye. It's out of the cards for y'all. Good luck. Try again next year. But you still might get the wild card. This game has no bearings on the success of the Eagles season. This game has no bearings on the success of Carson Wentz's season. So you can make it a big deal if you want to, Bucky. You can try to kick me while I'm down if you want to. You can try to stomp on me while I'm down if you want to. But I realize what's relevant and irrelevant, and this game is irrelevant for the Eagles.
I mean, I apologize. My standards are evidently too high. Like, I expect my quarterback to play at a level that is commensurate with winning championships and not just being okay. But look, we grew up in different households, and so maybe you're okay being that. So I'm gonna keep my focus on Lamar Jackson and what the Baltimore Ravens have to do, because I'm worried about the Baltimore Ravens in terms of the way that they're utilizing Lamar Jackson. And I believe that John Harbaugh and Greg Roman, they've heard the outside noise. So the outside noise has been, you can't run your quarterback. Your quarterback is going to get hurt. As they get older, they must transform and evolve to be these mythic figures that we see throw from the pocket. But I am worried about the Baltimore Ravens because when they get away from their DNA and who they are, they become an average team. They come back to the pack when they just try to play what I say traditional football is, meaning Lamar Jackson stays in the pocket. Lamar Jackson deals like Tom Brady and Drew Brees and all those other statuesque quarterbacks. That's not who Lamar Jackson is. Lamar Jackson is a runner, is a dual threat. He has really helped this offense go because he added that dimension as a runner. And the more they take that away from him, the more they remove that part of his game, the more average he becomes. So the challenge is to John Harbaugh and to Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator. Let Lamar Jackson be who he's always been, the explosive, dynamic, dual threat playmaker that we all have known and loved.
Yeah, but I got to clarify a few things right here because I think we're looking at the Ravens through the wrong lens. And I think it's because we saw them in their biggest game this year so far get spanked by the Kansas City Chiefs. And maybe not everybody is really diving into the details of the rest of their games, which they've won all of them. And they won them by 32 points, 17 points, 14 points, and 24 points. You know what that adds up to? A situation where you don't have to use your quarterback up. Your quarterback, his rushing attempts are down 3 per game this year compared to last year. Why? Because we already know 14 wins in the regular season doesn't mean jack in the playoffs. So let's preserve Lamar Jackson. Let's look at a guy who last year had a touchdown rate of 9%, and everybody was like, oh, my God, that is like historic. You're right, and unsustainable. So this year, it's down to 6.7. Oh, the sky is falling. It's still 8th in the NFL with all these blowouts. Let's talk about his defense, which is #1 in scoring defense. That means the other teams are not putting up points. So why go out there and put your Ferrari in 6th gear when you can just bring the tricycle out and still smoke these other teams outside of the Chiefs? So you look at his passing yards per game, last year 208. This year, 189. It is not drastically different if you really keep in perspective how they're beating down these teams outside of the Chiefs. That's why nothing's wrong with Lamar Jackson except he's saving some for the finish line.
Here's my problem, though, Marcellus. If you're going to exclude the Chiefs, let me pick up what you just dropped. If you're going to exclude the Chiefs, then you have to say, who have they beat outside the Chiefs?
Don't do that.
Because the record of the teams they've beat outside the Chiefs, and I'm doing this off the top of my head because you know your boy good at math, is 3-11-1. So don't talk to me about blowing teams out if they have a cumulative record of 3-11-1. If Bucky's high school team could hang with them for a quarter and a half. Don't talk to me about who Lamar Jackson has blown out if he ain't blown out nobody.
Ooh, excuse me?
Yeah, you're right, Acho. They haven't blown out anybody, and I am worried because that's what we're really banking on. We want to fast forward the Baltimore Ravens season, and we want to get to the playoffs because they've mollywopped a bunch of teams in the last 2 regular seasons with Lamar Jackson at the helm. However, when they get to the postseason, we've seen a different team run out the tunnel. And so for them to be a championship team, they have to create championship habits. Those habits have to take place in the regular season. So even though Marcellus is advocating for a less is more approach with Lamar Jackson, I want Lamar Jackson to be revved up and ready to play in the playoffs. And the only way he can get revved up and ready to play in the playoffs is by playing like that way right now.
Look, I love what you guys are saying, but it's just that NBA mindset that came around a few years ago.
Oh, like the Clippers? Like the Clippers did?
Shots fired!
Now I know we weren't raised in the same house because those are fighting words where I'm from, homie. No, look, I ain't saying the Clippers, that load management didn't work, but the year before it did for Kawhi Leonard, and it worked for LeBron James in certain respects of how he load manages even though he's still available on the court. You just got to save some. This is a team that looked at itself, and it came into this year saying, we're going to manage ourselves. Forget the results. We just still want to win, but give the least amount in terms of effort to those wins because we got to save it. 2 things are on their mind. 1, advancing in the postseason, and also we got to fix this kryptonite in terms of the Kansas City Chiefs if we do advance in the postseason. So I think with that laser focus, you might see some fluctuation in results. You might see some fluctuation in production, but the eye is still on the prize. Coming up, Jimmy G's seen better days in the Bay Area. We'll tell you if we like the Niners putting their quarterback on a short leash Sunday. Next, that's Speak for Yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's head to the Bay Area, where the 49ers are trying to bounce back from a blowout loss to the Dolphins. Jimmy G was awful, throwing for only 77 yards with 2 interceptions before being pulled at halftime. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo was working himself back from an ankle injury, but he was a full participant in practice yesterday. Head coach Kyle Shanahan is still being cautious, saying if it looks like he's hurting Sunday against the Rams, he'll pull him again. Bucky's back with us. I've been gladder to see more people in my life. But Marcellus, you like the 49ers putting a short leash on Jimmy G?
I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. Decisions like this, in terms of are you going to play or not, I think are better used and served pregame. Like, you just make a decision, and even if you're wrong, you're protecting your player. Versus, and I've been in this situation before where coaches like, all right, you have one of those play-through injuries. We're going to see how you play through that injury. If you're playing up to your standard, then okay, you can keep playing. If you're not, bring your butt back here. But that would be consecutive weeks if that was the outcome of Jimmy G once again being benched. So I don't like it. Here's the thing. This could be a thinly veiled excuse, real talk. Like, in terms of coaches using this at times, like, oh, we want you to go out there and play through it. Oh, you find yourself once again not playing all the way through. Oh, so when we have to do our evaluation at the end of the year, we have some things on your resume that are demerits. And why would I say they want to put him out there and not let him succeed and maybe fail? Why set him up for failure? A lot of conversation this offseason about Tom Brady going to the 49ers. Oh, that was Knicks. A lot of conversation right now about Matt Ryan potentially out in Atlanta and his former guy in Kyle Shanahan. Oh, no. Oh, what about Kirk Cousins? A lot of conversation out there. Man, I'm telling you, sometimes the business side, the political side of the NFL, it starts leaking. And y'all start saying, why are they doing that and doing that? Well, if you want to go behind the veil, these are moments where you can look at in hindsight and say that was leading to the result.
Marcellus, where there's smoke, there's fire. And that is definitely true in the National Football League. And I think this goes all the way back to, let's just go to the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl, at the end of the first half, 2-minute drive, you got a franchise quarterback, or so we call a franchise quarterback, in Jimmy Garoppolo. A 2-minute situation where we've all seen the great ones. Hey, give him the ball. You call your own plays. We're going to go down here and get a field goal. Yet, Kyle Shanahan didn't do that. He elected to run the ball and run the timeout. And then, he had a last-ditch effort to throw a ball to George Kittle. So now let's go into this season. We're looking at Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy Garoppolo has really struggled because in the 3 games that he's played, he hasn't finished 2 of them. And when you look at how he was playing against the Miami Dolphins, he was absolutely horrible. He was terrible. He was horrific. He was all the negative adjectives that you can throw to describe a player. And so, something that we've never seen. A franchise quarterback was making upwards of almost $30 million. He gets pulled in a game because the coach says, I want to protect him. Marcellus and Emmanuel Acho. Kyle Shanahan is letting us know what he thinks about his quarterback, the way that he utilizes his quarterback. When you pull your quarterback in the middle of a game and you say, I want to protect him, he doesn't really believe that Jimmy Garoppolo is that guy. And as we can continue to get down this line with Jimmy Garoppolo as their starting quarterback and this team playing without all of these defensive starters, we're seeing that maybe Jimmy Garoppolo is just a guy.
Can I say that franchise money does not make one a franchise quarterback? I think that's what we learned. And I hate the decision to put Jimmy G on a short leash because I'm like you, Sal. If you're going to play him, play him. If you gonna bench him, bench him. Not no break glass if necessary, no. If you gonna play him. You have to understand, quarterbacks more than any other position, you have to think about the psychological, you have to think about the emotional, you have to think about the physical. You can't roll Jimmy G out there and then try to roll him back in there. It's like once you pop, that's it. It's got to go. I think about it also is, you're only creating controversy for yourself, Kyle Shanahan. Remember that phrase, even a fool is believed to be wise if he keeps silent. Even a fool is believed to be wise if he doesn't say anything. Even Jimmy G is believed to be good if he keeps on the bench, right? If Jimmy G don't play, we not gonna know that he's sorry. But you put him out there prematurely against the Dolphins, and now we all like, oh, Jimmy G, sorry. Don't play the man prematurely if he's not ready to play. But also, Kyle Shanahan, head coach, You told us September 30th, about 17 or so days ago now, when asked about benching Jimmy G, you said, nah, that scenario doesn't exist. This is Jimmy's team. He's done a hell of a job for us. He'll be playing again. But then you bench him just 11 days later. Don't create a controversy for yourself. If you ain't healthy, don't play him. No short leash, none of that.
No. I don't know. I'm gonna take you back to college, right? Because I know we all were struggling college students, didn't have a lot of money in our pocket, but we all had this lady that we had our eye on. And we said, lady, I'm gonna take you out. And if I take you to this place, and if you order off of this side of the menu, then you know what kind of party we're having later on. And so what Kyle Shanahan has done is he has said, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo, if you can't get this done, then I can't take you to the club. I can't bring you back. And so if Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get this done, he has to be someone who can be more productive and put out. If not, we have to go to somebody else and give them an opportunity to be productive.
Yeah, wow. I have a lot of stories off air for that analogy right there. But let me stay on topic right there. That is exactly what's happening. And it's funny because in these moments when coaches give you a short leash, what they're really also doing is not allow you to have the freedom to play, to have the opportunity to make adjustments like coaches do, or the opportunity to self-correct. I'll give it to you in a story. My favorite move, my best move, was the Richard Dent chop move. And sometimes you go in the game and you try it in the first quarter and your best move doesn't work. And you're sitting there running a mental calculus for the rest of that game of when can I set him up so I can do my best move again. But if coach yanks you, then he doesn't give you that opportunity. He doesn't allow you to go out there and play that game of chess. With a short leash, you all of a sudden turn a football player from playing a game of chess to a game of checkers. He just has to go out there with such an extreme sense of urgency that he doesn't even play his game. You see that a lot when you see running backs by committee. They don't set up plays. They just go out there and try to score a touchdown on every play, and usually that undermines their production.
They're putting him, Marcellus, to your point, they're putting the quarterback, Jimmy G, in a losing position. Yeah. If you put him in on a short leash, you put him in a losing position. I would go story for him, but I don't have a ton of football stories. Again, I didn't last there long. I lasted in the casinos plenty long time. If you go into the casino with a time limit, I'm telling you right now, you're going to lose money. Because at the end of the day, you might not start off as hot as you would like. If you go in with Jimmy G with a time limit, meaning that he will be benched before the game is over, then all you're going to do is sit here. As soon as he makes a mistake, that's it.
That's it.
You can't play football at a high level looking over your shoulder. It has been said, a quarterback competition simply means you don't have a starting quarterback. So the short leash thing is really just, it is a early indicator, a pre-indication rather of Jimmy G, your time in the Bay, it is dwindling very, very quickly.
Hey, Emmanuel Acho, I actually like that analogy, and I'm actually going to say that you and I live kindred football lives, meaning we understand, because you were sitting there talking about not looking over your shoulder, but that's the life that we live. And when you have to look over your shoulder, then you either have to perform or you have to move on. And what the 49ers have done is they've removed the quarterback label off of Jimmy Garoppolo. And they're treating Jimmy Garoppolo like a regular position player, meaning if you play well, you get to stay in the rotation. If you don't, we're going to hand the ball off to C.J. Beathard or Nick Mullins. And even though we have an understanding that those guys are lesser than, the way that you're playing, you're on that same plane. So there's no difference between you and them. I might as well play them if you're not giving me the production that I'm expecting from you as our starting quarterback.
Yeah, man. Look, we all played in the game, but I did have a blessing of experience to play at the high level when I didn't have to look over my shoulder, and at other levels when I felt that pressure, coach breathing down my neck. And it's funny looking back, I never was yanked until I was yankable. What is that? I was never yanked until...
Wait, Marcel. That's a Wileyism. I need that in Wileyism form, please, sir. On the spot, I need that in Wileyism form.
Oh, never yanked until I was yankable. Yank worthy. Like what? I never rotated. My tongue had been on the ground. I'm over there white around my lips. And coach was like, Wiley, you still in there? Because I was balling. As soon as I start coming down that hill, they looking at you like, hey, Wiley, come here. And you like, what you want? And he's like, you know what I want. I want your butt on the sidelines. And that rotation in and out of the lineup usually ends a rotation you on another team. Coming up in our big story, Andy Dalton is he the next man up in Dallas? Oh, yes, he is. It's time for him to ball. We'll tell you if he will make the Cowboys forget about he will. Prescott, stop playing. Next, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. Presented by Hyundai. 2 degrees over there. All right, Marcelo Swiley, 2 Degree Acho in the building. Let's head to Dallas for our big story, where Andy Dalton will start his first game as a Cowboy Monday night against the Cardinals. Jerry Jones seems to have plenty of confidence in Dalton, saying earlier today, quote, if we don't reach where we want to go ultimately, and the ultimate success is to win a championship, it will not be because of Andy Dalton. It will not be because of our player quarterback. He's capable of stepping in and playing at that level. So, Acho, will Andy Dalton make the quarterback? Will he make the Cowboys forget Dak on Monday night?
Yes, and yes. Andy Dalton is a competent quarterback. Andy Dalton is going to make the Cowboys miss Dak Prescott emotionally, but they're not going to miss him statistically. They're not going to miss Dak Prescott in the win column. They will miss Dak Prescott emotionally. I saw their video, tugged in my heartstrings.
Stop it.
Here, we're with you.
Was he driving or in the backseat?
He was in the backseat.
Okay.
I saw the video. Emotionally, oh my God, miss him. But statistically, no, Marcellus, winning is the biggest version of amnesia that there ever has been and ever will be in the game of football. A defensive back gets beat, gives up a 50-yard completion, but in the next play, they go get an interception. They don't remember getting beat because they won. Winning is amnesia. If Dalton, and I fervently believe that Dalton will go out there and not only play well, but win, the Cowboys will forget about Dak Prescott statistically. Let me ask you, Marcellus, when's the last time you thought about Tyrod Taylor?
Tyrod Taylor? Last weekend.
The last time you thought about Tyrod Taylor, who was essentially stabbed in the lung by his own team doctor.
Been a week.
It was actually a more tragic, devastating injury than that in which Dak had to face because his own team inflicted the punishment to Tyrod. But yesterday, Marcellus told me Justin Herbert, Tyrod's replacement, should win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's not wrong. I'm not going to argue with you about that. What I'm going to say is this. You ain't thought about Tyrod in a week. But yesterday, you're proclaiming his replacement as a Rookie of the Year. No indictment on you. It's just proving my point that if you win, if you play well, if you do good things, because Herbert hasn't won, but he's played well, it makes it easy to forget. I'll end my first lap in story form like you so often do. I learned from you.
I talk stories.
2013, I'm on the Philadelphia Eagles with one of the most iconic football players in the history of the game, Michael Vick. He's a quarterback. Michael Vick's a legend. I had his shoes. I'm still mad he never signed him. But Michael Vick gets hurt. We're 3-5. He gets hurt week 8, I believe. Week 8 or week 9, something like that. Nick Foles goes in. Nick Foles finishes the season 7-1. We make the playoffs. We never thought about Vick again. I don't think Vick ever started another game in Philly. We didn't think about, this is an icon, a man whose shoes I have. You don't think about Vick again. Because the winner comes in and makes you forget. The Cowboys aren't going to forget about Dak Prescott emotionally. He is their fearless emotional leader. But Andy Dalton, with the win, which I think will happen, will definitely make the Cowboys forget about Dak.
Damn. Never thought about Vick again, huh? You know he works here, right?
That's my dog.
Kind of friend and teammate you are. What do you mean your dog? I'll never be your dog again. You never thought about me again. And the reason I don't think about Tyrod Taylor, because I'm a football player with a football mindset. Also a co-host killer. You don't show up Monday, I don't think about you either. That's just how the game goes. All right, let me get to this question here.
Man?
He ain't got a chance in hell to make them forget about Dak Prescott. Not a chance in Dante's Inferno. Not a chance in Purgatorio. Not a chance in Paradiso. Not any part of this divine comedy of life. Ooh, y'all get that later. Here's the thing. If you want to bring up your Philadelphia experience, I shall as well. I love debating someone with their logic, with their rhetoric, with their examples, and then still beating them down without even looking at my notes. Here's the thing.
You're looking at your notes.
I did. You're pretty good. Need to work with you for a long time. All right, what's the best case scenario for Andy Dalton? Jerry Jones thinks that we can win a championship with Andy Dalton. He's capable, even though he hasn't won a playoff game ever. But who cares about that? And the way to get to a championship is through the playoffs. Who cares about that? Don't let those facts get in the way of this story. But the comp exists where you were, in Nick Foles. Let's imagine Andy Dalton pulls off what Nick Foles did. Wins a Super Bowl. What? Andy Dalton won a Super Bowl for the Cowboys. Oh, my God. He's going to be the Cowboys quarterback of the future. Bye-bye, Dak Prescott. Go get your money. Oh, that's not what happened in Philly? Oh, they actually brought back Carson Wentz as the starter, and Nick Foles was the backup, signed a big deal to be the backup. I'm good. And then the next year, he gets another opportunity to do what Nick Foles does. And that doesn't go as well. And then he finally says, I got to go get my money. I'm out. The Teddy Bridgewater plan is in effect, which means I don't give a damn how good you are as a backup. You are not going to replace a young star in that building. The age difference between Nick Foles and Carson Wentz is only 4 years. The age difference between Dak Prescott and Andy Dalton is 6 years. So there's even more incentive to stick with Dak Prescott. So Andy Dalton, win a Super Bowl, beat Nick Foles, come back next year and sign up as a backup. Or beat Teddy Bridgewater, go somewhere else, get your money. But you're not the quarterback of the future for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, Bucky is back with some blows. So will Andy Dalton make the Cowboys forget about Dak Monday night?
You know, I get so irritated when I hear people trying to give away somebody's job. So let me get this straight. Dak Prescott was playing at a level that was beyond historic. He was on pace to have 6,000 plus passing yards, which has never been done in the National Football League. But yet I'm supposed to believe that Andy Dalton is going to step in and replace him. The same Andy Dalton who was replaced by Ryan Finley last year in Cincinnati. The same Andy Dalton who was moved on to bring in Joe Burrow. I am supposed to believe that Andy Dalton is now going to be the Dallas Cowboys quarterback of the present and of the future. I am really disappointed, Acho, that is the side of the argument that you came down. But since we're here, let's have it, because as I like to do, I like to come with receipts because, so I'm looking at Andy Dalton, and Andy Dalton since 2016 has not had a winning record. Andy Dalton has only one time in his entire career had a passer rating over 100. Andy Dalton, since 2017, is barely completing over 60% of his passes when the standard mark for elite quarterback play is around 65%. So now I'm supposed to expect Andy Dalton to take a Dallas Cowboys team who's struggling, who's leaking oil on defense, who has a bad offensive line, who has limited opportunity to make plays on his own. I'm supposed to expect Andy Dalton is going to squirt, make it all disappear. Get out of here, Acho. You know that. If you don't know that, you gotta do better.
Bucky, your takes, Bucky, is just so lazy. What? It's so Bucky, you're telling me about Andy Dalton with what weapons last year? No AJ Green, but I digress. Let me talk to you first about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was on pace to pass for 6,000 yards. Dak Prescott was also on pace to go 4-12. Dak Prescott was on pace to pass for 6,000 yards. Dak Prescott was also on pace to have 22 turnovers. His previous high was 16. Dak Prescott was on pace to throw for 6,000 yards. But also keep in mind, when you throw for over 400 yards in a game in NFL history, quarterbacks are 69, 86, and 2. Stop telling me, Bucky, about meaningless stats. I hate how you, Bucky, you took all your time prepping all these notes, and they're all meaningless. All these meaningless statistics. Bucky, here's the issue with your logic. You were so blinded by Dak Prescott's stats that you forget about the contributions to the problem. 4 consecutive weeks, Bucky Brooks, Dak Prescott turned the ball over, leading to touchdowns in his own 20 and 30-yard line. I'm not even going to look at it. I don't need the notes, Marcellus, because this is how entrenched I am in my work. Against the Falcons, it's 0-0. Dak Prescott turnover, it's 7-0. Against the Seahawks, it's 23-15. Seahawks are ahead. Dak Prescott turnover, it's 30-15. Against the Browns, it's 14-14. Dak Prescott turnover, it's 21-14. Against the Giants, it's 10-3. Dak Prescott turnover, or it's 7-3. Dak Prescott pick 6. It's 14-3. Bucky, let me tell you the kind of guy you are. and I don't know the kind of guy you are, so I'm not going to personalize it in case this is the kind of guy you are. There's a situation in which a person can cheat on their spouse and buy them a Range Rover, and they'll be like, oh, my God, but you got me the Range Rover. But what about cheating? Dak Prescott will turn the ball over, but oh, my God, he threw for 5,000. But what about the turnover that separated the game, Bucky Brooks? Please, don't be blinded by the Range Rover. Let's also remember that there were early contributions, Bucky, to the problem. Woo.
Oh, man, that's hard, Emmanuel Acho. Like, that hurt me. Talking about that hurt. That really hit me hard. So here's what I'm gonna do, because I think maybe on first dates you take people to Red Lobster. So we're gonna go to Red Lobster with the menu right now. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna give you this cheddar biscuit to think about. So you're telling me that Dak Prescott was playing behind all of this stuff, and he's having to do so much. He's turning the ball over. He is the culprit. He is the reason why the Dallas Cowboys are losing. Not the fact that their defense is really struggling.
I didn't say that.
You got people saying that we don't play hard.
I didn't say that, Bucky Brooks.
We have an offensive line with guys who are struggling to hold up against this pass protection. But now we're going to swap out Dak Prescott. We're going to put in Andy Dalton. And we're going to ask Andy Dalton to perform better than Dak Prescott is, because all of a sudden the pieces around him are going to play better. If the Cowboys win, it will not be because Andy Dalton performs at a high level. It will be because Mike McCarthy pulls Kellen Moore and Mike Nolan into the office with also John Fossil and says, it is time for us to play the right way. And the right way is for us to do less passing, fewer passes, more Zeke Elliott, control the ball, preserve our defense, and guess what is going to happen? We will win. Because you know how else they won? They won like that when Dak Prescott was the starting quarterback from the time that he stepped into the National Football League. So it's not about Dak. It's about playing the right way. If they play the right way with Andy Dalton, yeah, they will win. But they won't win because of Andy Dalton.
So here,
they win in spite of Andy Dalton.
Let me clarify something. Dak Prescott is not the reason the Cowboys were losing. That is not what I'm saying. But like Dak Prescott was not.
You gave me all those stats.
But Dak was not helping the Cowboys win. There is a large difference. Dak Prescott is not why they were losing exclusively, but he was not helping the Cowboys win. Here is my thing, Bucky. I don't know about the causation. I just know about the effect. I don't know about the causation, right? If you're going to tell me that Andy Dalton isn't necessarily the exclusive reason why the Cowboys are going to start winning, but because Dak Prescott is no longer there, the whole team is now going to change and the offensive scheme is going to change, and therefore they will win, I don't know the cause, but I'm just telling you the effect. I'm telling you that the effect is going to be they will start to win. The cause may be because they don't trust Dalton as much, but I think that was a part of the problem, Bucky Brooks. The part of the problem is, okay, you have Dak Prescott out here, so I'm going to let Dak cook. But when you have Zeke, a top 3 rusher, I don't need him to cook as much. Without Dak Prescott there, now the Cowboys have to play better football. Here's how I'm going to end this lap, though, Marcellus.
Yeah.
I go to Twitter, and I see that in Bucky Brooks' bio, I see NFL media analyst. That operative word, analyst. So, Bucky, if you are an analyst, I'm very disappointed in your analysis. And here's why, Bucky Brooks.
Bucky,
the Cowboys were down 14-3 against the Giants. The reason they won that game, Bucky Brooks, was because when they went down 14-3, they decided to hand the ball off to Zeke 10 times on a 14-play, 7-minute drive, 6 minutes, 59 seconds to be exact. You know better, or as well as I, it rests the defense. Defense goes out there, sack, fumble recovery, touchdown. The Cowboys are now going to have to do that. As an analyst, you know, without Dak, they're going to have to do that. That is why Andy Dalton will make them forget about Dak. I don't know the causation, Bucky. I just know the effect.
So that's going to make them forget, because now I can't do all the things that I want to do. I have to do fewer things because this is all we have. That's going to make me forget about the quarterback. Emmanuel Acho, I don't even understand the rationale behind that argument. Like, I think sometimes we get caught up in facts over feelings, and your feelings are so entrenched in this Dak Prescott thing that you're not able to make sensible arguments. Because what you just spit for 2.5 minutes made no sense. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean it up for you. I'm going to clean it up for you because the Cowboys were wrong from the beginning. The way the Cowboys were approaching the game, the Cowboys were trying to throw the ball. And because, look, the nerds will say, hey, you got to throw the ball all over the yard. The numbers suggest that when you run with the passing game and the passing game does all these things, it's great. However, the way the Dallas Cowboys are constructed, they can't be a pass-first team, because when you're pass-first, you give the opponent more opportunities, and more opportunities against a bad defense is a flawed strategy. So, yes, however they get to having to play the right way, it is going to be a successful plan. They play the right way, they're going to win games, regardless of whether it's Andy Dalton or Dak Prescott. As long as it goes through 21, that is their best opportunity to win games.
Woo! Let me be a referee more so than a host up here. Yeah, you better put some respect on Bucky Books of knowledge name, instead of coming at him with that. Acho, you had me until you start.
What'd I do, Sal?
Well, you can't be a team that loses a luxury and then is now confined into just necessity and think that that's a good thing. Like, teams want options. They've taken away the passing ability option. That's not a positive for them. Don't forget that Dak Prescott has never had a losing season as the Cowboys quarterback. Him and Tony Romo, the only two that could say that since 2006. Everybody else, and there are like 8 other names, have all been losers in that position. So when you give the ball to Zeke 25 or more times, 22-8, we get it. They're a winning team when they give the ball to Zeke, feed him. But my point is this. Fans and gamblers, Acho, can only be caught up in effect, as you said. Like, fans and gamblers don't care how it happens, just as long as we win. But analysts and players, and especially coaches, we got to figure out how we won. Causation, correlation. We have to dig into that situation. We can't just simply say, hey, they won. Andy Dalton's there. Yip, yip, hooray, sign Andy Dalton. He made us forget about Dak. No. Because Dak has never showed us a losing hand as our quarterback. 3rd most wins since he's been in the league. So therefore, we're going to still think of Dak when we have to go forward.
Let me close like this. These two gentlemen...
Are you on my Twitter now?
These two gentlemen have mentioned that Dak Prescott is a luxury, and I agree with that.
He is.
Remember, not all luxuries are beneficial. Since moving to L.A., signing with this job, I have a little bit more money, thankfully, by the grace of God.
Where your tie at, then?
But because I have a little bit more money, I can now afford to eat out a little bit more. And eating out a little bit more isn't nearly as healthy as when I would cook back in the day, because I was making what I could make based on a budget. See, now that Dak Prescott is no longer that luxury available, maybe the Cowboys will be a little bit healthier, like I was a little bit healthier before I had the luxury to spend the money. See, just because you got the luxury doesn't mean that it's beneficial. But also, we talk about people coming prepared and whatnot. All I got to say is this.
What?
Bucky, I'm very glad that you at least chose to dress up for our show. Because when I was getting ready, when I was putting on my vest, when I was putting on my button down, I looked at the TV, and you want to know what I saw? I saw this. I said, Lord have mercy.
Yes.
This man has gotten far too comfortable. If Bucky Brooks, analyst, is on national television in a hoodie, what kind of despicable nature is this, Bucky?
Get about it. I was going off your thing. You were talking about luxuries and necessities. Now that you are compensated well and you have those designer suits, it's one thing. You no longer have to go to TJ Maxx and Marshalls to get it. So if you're cool doing that, then do it. But I don't want the Cowboys to have to shop at Marshalls all the time. That's all. I just like to have options.
Hey, Bucky, he shouldn't be eating out all that time. It's a pandemic. Quarantine, fool. What you doing out so much? I can't even get it. Coming up, LeBron just won his 4th title, but the TV ratings weren't fit for a king. Woo. We'll tell you if NBA fans have LeBron fatigue. Next, Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. Stay at home, Acho.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's head back to the NBA talking LeBron James, who won his 4th ring on Sunday. LeBron has appeared in 10 of the last 14 NBA Finals. My God. And the TV ratings, though, they took a pretty big dip. They were about 50% decline from last year's views. We had to bring in NBA analyst Slick Rick Bucher to dive in with us on this one. But Marcella, starting with you. You think the NBA fans have LeBron James fatigue?
There's some fatigue of something. I don't think it's LeBron James fatigue at all. LeBron's the man. Now, all of a sudden, we tired of him. Like, he's like the most popular athlete we have. Do we have Ronaldo fatigue? Do we have Serena Williams fatigue? Like, you don't get fatigue of the greatest at what they're doing. So I can't buy that. But I can buy some ingredients for some gumbo and take y'all to Grandma's house, and we're going to have to take a few spoonfuls of this gumbo because I think there's a lot of reasons why the NBA ratings have been going down. Let's go back to 2010 when it was first noticed, hey, what's going on with the NBA and their ratings? And it's interesting if you want to look at the real craters from 2010, 2018, which could be just coincidence. That's the same year of the China tweet from Daryl Morey. And this year, when they really leaned into some of the political and messaging and the phrasing on the jerseys. You can say that. Is it correlation or is it just coincidence? I don't know. But in this gumbo pot, I see politics is one of the things. I also see how piracy has affected all ratings, but that's all ratings, so that doesn't go specific to the NBA. Let's talk about something that is specific to the NBA. And these are my last 2 points. Social media. The NBA leaned into social media heavier than any of our other major sports, including football. The NBA Twitter account and NBA Twitter became an open source. Anybody could post anything about the NBA. And you got to remember, these Gen Z kids, they are growing up not to be the same level of sports enthusiasts as we were. Think about it. They have games now where they watch other gamers play games, where they're not watching our sports at the same rate. But the last point is an interesting point. When I was a player rep for 9 of my 10 years, and the NFL's version of marketing versus the NBA's version of marketing. The NFL leans heavy into a uniform policy to protect all of the teams and make sure that in that protection of the shield, the players could be interchangeable, but we still march to the same beat. The NBA really hitches its wagons to the individuals. They hitch their wagon to a star player and say, we're going to ride you off into the sunset. And maybe that disparity, that distinction is where we're seeing the difference between an NFL that can keep its steady pace or an NBA that is suffering from this star power up and down.
Good Lord, yes, we have LeBron fatigue.
No.
Come on. What did you, we started out by saying he's been in 10 of the last 14 finals. He's been around for 17 years. Yes, without question, we have fatigue. You know what we also have fatigue? We have social justice fatigue. We have COVID fatigue. We have divisiveness fatigue. And you know who embodies and personifies all of those things? LeBron James. To your point, Marcellus, one of the most loved athletes in the United States. Yes, you know what he also is? He's the most hated athlete in the United States. He's carried both of those tags multiple years running. And what are we most fatigued by in this country right now? Honestly, it's the divisiveness. It's the difference of opinion, the stark difference of opinion on social justice and police reform and politics. And should you wear a mask or not wear a mask? And LeBron James, whether he intended to or not, is at the very heart of all of that. He is a polarizing figure. For anybody who's looking for the escape of all the divisiveness in the country today, LeBron James does not offer that, and he was front and center in these finals. So I completely understand. While there may be other factors that contributed, the reality is LeBron James certainly couldn't alleviate any of those things. He wasn't the reason that people would tune in for an escape because they knew they were going to get more of the same.
Slick Rick, you came out of left field. My ears perked up when I heard it, probably because it was nonsense. My ears perked up when I hear nonsense. Slick Rick, what is your favorite movie? Favorite movie all time?
Favorite movie, My Left Foot.
How many times have you watched that movie?
Oh, twice.
Only? And it's your favorite movie?
Yeah, I've seen The Martian about 6 times, but
Great.
I can't just
seen The Martian about 6 times.
It was playing when I was on plane.
Here's my point, Slick Rick. You don't get fatigued of things that are entertaining. You don't equate social justice and COVID with LeBron James because one is inherently meant to entertain and another not so much. I understood where you were going. However, you don't get fatigued of that which is entertaining. To assume, Slick, that we have LeBron James fatigue is to also assume that the ratings would have been higher if we would have seen the Heat play the Nuggets, The ratings would have been higher if we would have seen the Heat play the Jazz. To assume we would have LeBron James fatigue is to make those sort of asinine assumptions. But I think it's best said in tweet form. I saw somebody sharing a tweet. He simply said, if you share a pizza every Saturday with 2 friends, but then one Saturday 5 friends show up, what do you personally get? Less pizza. But what was just popular as it was a week ago? Pizza. The fact of the matter is, the NBA and the finals were being shared amongst the MLB, being shared amongst the NFL. Game 3, Game 6 of the finals were both played on NFL Sundays. What did you expect? You're competing against one of the most highly watched things every week in Sunday Night Football. It's not that the NBA has fatigue or LeBron James has fatigue. It's just that the pie has to be spread so much more thin that now the slices are just being divvied up more frequently.
I cannot believe that I'm being lectured by someone on entertainment who can't even keep the same look on a daily basis. That has to change dramatically his suit game on a daily basis.
Here we go here. What can I say?
You are part of this generation that has grown up with LeBron, but at the same time has to change every single second, that has ADHD in terms of attention deficit.
Yeah.
I need something different. That was good. I need something different. Oh, that's good. Now I want something different. I was about to come up with an analogy about the French fries, but your pizza thing just killed it for me. So this is the number one thing for me that goes to the heart of why LeBron is polarizing and why all of this time watching him has left people divisive about where he stands. And it's something that has been sticking in my craw since Monday, our show on Monday, because this is what you said, Acho, about LeBron James.
Let's see this.
Gentlemen, in a day and age where words and someone's words are so incredibly meaningless and so futile, LeBron James, his words, actually, you can count as his yes and his no is his no.
Brother, I cannot. Of all the things that you have said on this show, there is nothing that I disagree with more vehemently than that.
What?
LeBron James, when he went to Miami, said not 5, not 6, not 7,
hyperbole.
not 8.
You know what hyperbole is? You went to Dartmouth. What's hyperbole?
He made a promise. Okay.
It was a pep rally,
So
damn it.
I'm not done. So then he goes to Cleveland and he writes this heartfelt letter. I'm coming home. And I'm coming home. I'm coming home not just to win a trophy. I know it's going to take a long time to win that trophy, and I don't even know if we can do it. But I'm coming home because I want to support the kids of Northeast Ohio, and I want people to know that you can go home and you can go back to where you grew up and you can give back to the community. How long did that last? I'm with these young guys in LA until I'm not. There is nobody who changes his tune more often than LeBron James. He is the last person I would use as an example that yes is yes and no is no. Yes is conditional until I have to say no. That is the LeBron James theme. And people are just kind of tired of it. Look, he's done remarkable things. He's rewriting the record books, and yet nobody seems to care. Why is that?
Well,
I have to believe it's because we don't exactly know who LeBron James is and what he's really chasing.
Well, Slick Rick, I got to side with both of you guys. Look, Acho, let's just be real about this. 51% down from last year, but going back to the Jordan years when it was 35 million people watching, now only 7 million. I don't know. But to push back on you, Slick Rick, Tiger Woods, when he went through his scandal, no one got fatigued. No one went righteous. No one was out there virtual signaling. Golf business imploded, and they were still rooting and wanting to see more of Tiger Woods. Coming up, the Chiefs' stacked offense just got even better with Le'Veon Bell. Poor Nacho. We'll tell you if this makes KC the clear favorites to repeat. Next, speak for yourself. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's head to Kansas City, where the rich got richer after the Chiefs signed Le'Veon Bell to a one-year deal. Bell was released by the Jets earlier this week, but now he gets a chance to shake up KC's backfield which only has one rushing touchdown by a running back this season. Patrick Mahomes is obviously excited about the addition, tweeting, "Welcome, my brother. Let's get it." Well, welcome, my brother Acho. Let's get it. Does Le'Veon Bell make the Chiefs the clear favorites to repeat? Acho, my brother.
No, I mean, Le'Veon Bell doesn't. The Chiefs were favorites to repeat in my eyes before they signed Le'Veon Bell.
You're right.
The headline should have read, Chiefs signed backup running back. Because that's what Le'Veon Bell is right now. I look at Le'Veon Bell how I look at Leonard Fournette to the Buccaneers.
I see that.
He's a luxury. He's an additive. He's not going to change the entire dynamic of the team. Although Leonard Fournette has been injured, he has 100 and change yards. He had a 100-yard game, which was phenomenal. But Ronald Jones got better. Now, I think the biggest addition Le'Veon Bell will have is competition breeds excellence. I think about Leonard Fournette. He made Ronald Jones get better. Ronald Jones has been significantly better with Leonard Fournette. I just think that Le'Veon Bell is going to make that add as such. Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers got better because of the competition. But you don't need, they didn't need a Le'Veon Bell, and Le'Veon Bell isn't the one missing piece to make the Chiefs be favorites. The Chiefs were already favorites in my eyes.
Yeah, he's not going to make them the favorites if you didn't think that before. But I feel a little disguise in this one because I think the narrative is, oh, my God, he's the cherry on top. He's going to help them, enhance them. No, he's more of a stop loss if you know about stock markets and how you play it. You just make sure we don't go this far down. In case of emergency, break glass, here comes Le'Veon Bell. I thought that at first, but then I realized they don't just want Le'Veon. They need Le'Veon.
How, sir?
What you talking about, Willis?
How, Sway?
Everybody out here talking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
And they should be.
138 rushing yards in that first game. We all watched it. Y'all been watching the rest? 52 rushing yard average in the last 4 games. Oh, Chiefs, 13th in rushing yards per game. Oh, he has twice as many attempts in goal-to-goal situations, like right there in the end zone, and has no rushing touchdowns from that. 1 rushing touchdown on the entire year. Yesterday, we were talking about the rookie fatigue and rookie wall, and you hit it. And you're like, well, he played 16 games last year. I was like, well, I don't give a damn how many he played. He didn't play them against grown men. And right now, if you're the Chiefs, you're starting to look at a trend where you're not doing well, short yardage, goal line situations. Twice on 4th and 1. You know what they did? Handed the ball to fullback Anthony Sherman. Once to Darwin Thompson, but never to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You know why? Because after that first game, we ain't seen the same dude. And we've seen the offense go up and down as well. Be real. Charger game had to go to OT, first time against a rookie quarterback. We see him lose the Raiders game. We've seen him sputter even in the Houston Texans game going against the zone defense. They won, and convincingly, but it took him a second. I think that there's an inner conversation of, hey, Hilaire's going to be great. We get it. But let's give him a supplement. This is not necessarily a want transition and transaction. This is actually a need.
You made a good sales pitch, but I'm not going to buy it just yet.
Okay.
What I think is this. Andy Reid, the head coach for the Chiefs, he does like running backs by committee. Last year, he had Damian Williams, he had LaShawn McCoy. Both of those running backs only had 400 yards. Both of those running backs got 100-plus carries each. He had those 2. Right now, there isn't a running backs by committee.
Okay.
It's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I think Andy Reid, to your point, is like, maybe we should have another guy. I don't think they need another guy. To your point, right now, the Chiefs are 13th in rushing. But last year, they won the Super Bowl being 23rd in rushing. So it's not as though it's an imminent need for the Chiefs to have a super strong rushing attack. They've shown us before that they can do it without running the ball. I think Le'Veon Bell, icing on the cake, but I don't think Le'Veon Bell is the actual cake itself.
4 to 5 last years, the last time they had running back start the season, didn't finish the season as the same guy. Jamal Charles, Spencer Ware, Kareem Hunt, LaShawn McCoy. Okay, all right, it's time to make our picks this week for the free-to-play Super 6 contest. Terry Bradshaw is putting $1 million up for grabs on Sunday. I see you, Terry. All you have to do is correctly predict the outcome of 6 NFL games. Aaron Rodgers' Packers at Tom Brady's Bucs are one of the matchups this week. So, Acho, give me a winner. How many?
Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing to the Green Bay Packers. Packers win 24-20.
Okay, give me the Green Bay Packers losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 34-31, and Acho has to read all of the teases on Monday. Make sure you get your picks in before kickoff Sunday for your chance to be a millionaire. And for top stories, scores, and more, go to the Fox Sports app. Coming up, it's been 5 days and the Ravens are still mad at the Bengals. We'll tell you if Cincy broke an unwritten rule. Next, speak for yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's go to the AFC North, where the Ravens beat the Bengals last week, but they were still upset. Talk about petty. Baltimore led 27-0 with just over 30 seconds left, and then the Bengals chose to kick a field goal. Well, that didn't sit well with the Ravens defensive coordinator, who thought they broke an unwritten rule to avoid being shut out. Martindale said, that's the DC, Martindale said he had some choice words for Bengals head coach Zach Taylor on the field. Take a listen.
You know what it was. All right, he knew what it was because it was awful quiet when I yelled it across the field. So there's some people that take that as a victory. We'll see. We got plenty to talk about next time we play him.
I can't make sense of this one, so I need Marcellus.
Yes.
Marcellus, should the Ravens be bothered that the Bengals chose to kick a field goal to avoid the shutout?
They should be bothered, but you know how I'm not a fighter, despite how I look, and I may look even intimidating to some people. I'm not a fighter. That guy is. Like, Wink Martindale has now proven to me he's the anti-me. He's ready for the smoke.
Oh, my God.
I'm mad that I'm mad at this. Like, one of those, you ever been mad that you just mad at it? Like, this is so petty, but I'm mad that I'm going to be petty with them. And I'm going to side with the Baltimore Ravens because I'm going to use history as my indicator. There have only been 2 other instances in the past 50 years when a team kicked a field goal in the final minute to avoid a shutout while trailing by more than 20 points. So, you know the unwritten rules are not written, by definition, but everybody knows how the game is played. Everybody knows what's going on. If you're down by a grip and the game is over, the game is over, even though the clock hasn't caught up yet to our minds, which is, it's a wrap. So I think Wink is looking, Wink, what a name. I ain't messing with Wink. Wink is like, hey, bro, you know how this goes. So why are you being petty? I'm with you, Wink.
Bro, I can't stand it, Wink. I'm not with you, Wink, blink, something. Let's change it. I'm not with it, right? Like, let's think, Wink. I'm not with it, Marcellus.
Why?
We all got that one dude in our squad, at least in college or in the league, who was always looking to fight.
Always
You
ready.
walk with your homeboys and like, hey. Why you say hey? Say hi to me next time. I'm not a hey kind of guy. Calm down. They was just saying hey. They was saying hello. Please come. Why you trying to fight for? That's who Wink is, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what, you want them to just lay down and take a shutout? No. We all know, like, getting a big goose egg put on you is one of the most embarrassing things that can happen in football.
Yeah.
I have no issue with what the Bengals did. And also, like, Wink, if you don't want them to kick a field goal, don't let them down there.
Oh, you doing that?
That's how I ride. That's how I ride,
Wow,
bro.
you just mailed it in. It's the end of the show Friday. You just like, hey, you don't want them to score.
If you don't want them to score, don't let them in.
I understand I don't want you to score, but if you do score, you can't do any and everything. Like, this is a situation where, I like your example about, you always got that one homeboy.
You got that one, bro. You know it.
We call him Pigpen, always kicking up dust, like just dusty everywhere.
Like, for
just
what
it do?
For what?
Here's the thing. I will side with you on this. The points do matter for some playoff scenarios. I mean, look, Cincinnati, good luck to y'all trying to get into one of these playoff scenarios. But it does matter, and I do appreciate that if you don't want them to do something, don't let them do it. But being real, you know what this game is. It's about a certain ethics, a certain translation of how we're supposed to do things and how you're supposed to do things. And that's unwritten, but by history, it's actually written. No one does this, but y'all gonna do it.
So are you really just, if you're the Bengals and you've already gotten molly-whopped, you've gotten whooped, you're just supposed to not kick a field goal because you want to be nicer to the team that whooped you? That make sense.
I told you I'm mad because I'm mad. I'm just mad that we even doing this topic, but it was so petty, it was so necessary. Coming up, Uncle Jimmy ends the week with his thoughts on today's show. Trust me, you don't want to miss them. Speaking of petty, next, speak for yourself. Before we go, let's bring in Uncle Jimmy. So what are your thoughts on today's show?
Hey, man, you ever heard the phrase that?
Never heard that. Nope, I never heard that phrase.
Hey, man, listen.
Wink gonna get up
Listen,
here.
you ever heard the phrase that a coincidence is merely God's way of choosing to remain anonymous?
Oh, I have heard
You ever heard that?
I have.
Okay, let me tell you something, man. I don't think it's merely a coincidence that Wiley been beating the brakes off of you all week long.
When?
Ever since you showed up on Monday wearing that fake Hall of Fame color leisure suit you had on. Now, I know the first thing you're going to say. I never said it was that. Well, Ancho, let me ask you something. What did you call yourself doing when you sent this selfie right here back home? What did you think the people back home was going to say?
See who I'm working with?
God.
This dude.
Oh, my God. Come here. Look quick.
He caught me.
Jacket. I wonder why he didn't tell anyone.
Caught me.
Oh, he is so modest. Well, you know what, man? Why in the hell didn't you show him the video of what happened to you when you ran into Marcellus Wiley later on Monday? Let him see what happened to you. Yeah.
I gotta love it.
That's what happened to
man. Hey, that's a good recovery from that stroke you had in the beginning.
I hear you.
You
What you
okay?
saying?
Check his blood pressure. All right, Fox Bet Live. Y'all gotta follow Uncle Jimmy. Good luck to y'all. They're next.